Morning guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm having a close-up photography day today. So I'm looking for today dragonflies and damselflies, and they're a fantastic subject. I mean, dragonflies and damselflies, they've been around for over 300 million years and pretty much unchanged, to be honest. There's fossilized sort of dragonflies, or fossils of dragonflies, that go back 300 million years, and they're virtually the same now as they were then. So it's a really successful species of animal, and generally you're going to find dragonflies and damselflies around water. They will sort of fly to quite a distance away from water, but generally the best place to find damselflies and dragonflies is near water. And I've got this is a really great little area. I've got a big lake here, there's ponds over there, over that way there's a ditch that's a wet ditch, so you've got water along the ditch, and all these places are brilliant for dragonflies and damselflies. Now you might hear the odd plane go over, so I'm not going to stop recording because they come over all the time and it will take me forever to get this vlog done. So yes, I brought my 200 to 500mm zoom, not my macro lens today, because often dragonflies and damselflies will be right over sort of a body of water, and you literally, unless you've got waders on, you can't get close enough. And I tend to find with today's modern zooms, they've got a close enough focusing distance to get that's just a mallard come flying in, a close enough focusing distance to get nice close-up pictures. Now it won't be a true one-to-one sort of macro shot, like the eye of a dragonfly. You can't get that bigger enlargement with a zoom lens, but you can get pretty much a full-size shot of dragonfly or damselfly using a zoom lens, and it's a lot more convenient for this type of photography. So yeah, why do they like water? The reason dragonflies are found near water is because most of their life they live in water. Dragonflies and damselflies, depending on the species, will spend anything up to 2 or 3 years. In the case of a golden hawk, 5 years underwater. So the bit we see, when the dragonflies are flying around, that's the last stage of their life, isn't it? And they only do that for a few weeks. So they're at this time of year, in summer, and we've got all these marvellous insects flying around. They'll be looking for a mate, mating, and then laying eggs. And they lay their eggs in a watery area, so that's why you tend to find dragonflies and damselflies near water. And depending on the species, they'll either lay them in sort of vegetation just above the water, or dead wood, stuff like that. And in fact, some of species of dragonflies in particular have got almost like a hard sort of drill-like piece to their abdomen, and they can burrow or drill into the wood and lay their eggs in there. And then many other species such as chasers, darters, and not hawkers, the other one, it doesn't matter, they will lay their eggs, and many damselflies, directly into the water, and they'll dip their abdomens in numerous times to lay their eggs. And in some species you'll actually see the male still attached to the female as they lay their eggs, and some females completely submerge themselves underwater, lay their eggs, and then the male pulls them out of the water. So that's quite an amazing thing to see as well. So yeah, there's so much here to photograph. I've already been here a couple of times this year, and I'm going to spend the whole morning here as well. And I've got photographs of broad-bodied chasers. I've got photographs of four-spotted hawkers, which I think I'm going to get again today. Scarce hawkers, or is it scarce chasers? Don't know, I'll check. And common blue damselflies, azure damselflies, red-eyed damselflies. So there's so much here. And yeah, so after they've the eggs have been laid, they'll spend anything from a few months, but generally 2 to 3 years underwater as a sort of a larva or a nymph. And they are massively aggressive predators, and they'll be hunting other live prey underwater while they develop. And they'll shed their skin, or their external skeleton, a number of times as they grow and get ready to emerge a number of months or years later. And dragonflies are amazing in particular. They've got a detachable lower jaw, and that jaw just flies out, grabs the prey, and comes back in again. So I've not photographed that, but I've seen footage of that, and it's absolutely amazing. So they're incredible animals. And then, as I say, after developed, 2 or 3 years generally, they'll emerge out of the water and then go into a metamorphosis, and isn't that an amazing transformation? So they go from this nymph-like underwater creature to the unbelievable array of dragonflies and damselflies we all love to photograph. So, you know, I love this time of year. It's middle of July now, but anywhere from really, you know, sort of early spring right the way through to late summer, there'll be various species of dragonflies and damselflies on the wing. And as I say, all they're really doing is looking for a mate. And some dragonflies and damselflies will live for, you know, literally just 2 or 3 weeks, and then others maybe 6, 8 weeks. So it depends. And then last but not least, of course, the eggs generally take 2 to 5 weeks to hatch. But some species, those eggs will lay dormant until the next spring, and they'll hatch next spring and then do their sort of go into their nymph stage and feed up underwater until, you know, a number of years later they'll emerge. I think it's the golden hawker actually that takes 5 years to grow from the nymph stage until it's ready to emerge and become sort of the dragonfly that we know, that flying around looking for a mate again. So yeah, amazing creatures. I love photographing dragonflies and damselflies. Now I've got my as I say, my 200 to 500mm lens. I've got it on a tripod because I want to get some hopefully some slow motion footage today as well as stills. But if I was only doing stills photography, I'd probably just use a monopod because it's a little bit more flexible and portable, and often, you know, we're going to be moving around looking for these animals. So that's about it for now. I'm going to crack on. As I say, the weather's absolutely brilliant. Now I do like, for a lot of macro photography, soft lighting conditions, so cloudy conditions, because that soft low contrast light is really good for macro. The only thing is, I tend to find for dragonflies and damselflies in particular, when it's a little bit too cloudy, they don't fly as much. So I sort of like, for my damselflies and dragonflies, even though the light can be a bit contrasty, I like it to be reasonably bright but really low winds and nice and warm, and sometimes if it's humid that's good as well. And you get loads of dragonflies on the wing then, and loads of opportunities to photograph these guys. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to this morning. I'm going to have a hunt around this lake, then I'm going to go along the ditch over there and have a little look at the pond and see what we can find. There's also a couple of wildflower meadows, and you will see dragonflies in particular, and damselflies actually, over on the meadows, because they will leave water looking for, you know, looking for a mate. So you can, I think, the more powerful dragonflies, you will find them 2 or 3 miles away from water, but they're always going to come back to water because that's where they're going to lay their eggs ultimately. So yeah, I'll speak to you soon, guys. Fingers crossed I get lots of great shots this morning. Right, morning guys. Yeah, it's going great so far. I'm shooting down the drainage ditch at the moment, or the ditch anyway. It's got water at the bottom and loads of vegetation, so ideal habitat for dragonflies and damselflies. And I think I've got chasers and possibly hawkers, so it's all looking good. Fortunately, I've got sunlight that end and I've got some sunlight that end, but also some shade. So I've got a real mix of lighting conditions, but I'm actually in the shade, which is great because I forgot my hat today and I've got suntan lotion on my head, but it still feels like it's pretty hot. I'm normally wearing my tilly hat, so I'm just gonna have to get on with it because this location is too good not to. And I've just seen oh yeah, there's a I think it's a female ruddy darter, so I'm going to go and have a look at that now. So look, I'll speak to you soon guys, but this is going great. I absolutely love this location. Drainage ditch, lake, ponds, it's all good. So I'll speak to you soon. Gotta go. as I mentioned earlier, wildflower meadows can be a great place, not just for butterflies and other insects, but for dragonflies and damselflies. So even though you're away from the water, doesn't matter, they will travel. And I think I've just got some shots in the grass of a ruddy darter, a female ruddy darter. I'm not 100% sure, I'm going to have to check when I get home, but I've got some dragonfly pictures in a wild meadow, which is great. I've had an absolutely brilliant morning so far. I'm going to go back down to the water again now for about another hour, but the light is starting to get a little bit harsh. So I got here about 7 AM, maybe half 6. So it's been a really, really good morning. I'm going to do another hour or so. Maybe I'll do a little bit more down by the water and then move on and find a shady area where the light's a bit softer. But yeah, it's all good. And I just wanted to mention light actually. So generally, if I'm doing close-up photography, I like it to be really light clouds. So you've got that lovely low contrast light. And it gives you a really good quality of light for close-up photography and macro photography. The only thing with that is the dragonflies tend to fly more when you've got these warm, bright conditions. So if it's sunny, I think that's better light for dragonflies and damselflies. They're more active and more on the wing, easier to spot. And as I say, they'll come round to a perching point often, so you can work out where to photograph those guys. But you know, in terms of quality of light, soft light is better normally for close-ups. So what I tend to do is shoot early morning, late afternoon, when you've got that direction of sunlight but the light's nice and soft. And it doesn't mean to say you can't shoot when the light's a bit harsher. You just have to be careful about your angles of light. Sometimes I backlight the dragonfly so you get this light and you get a lovely rim lighting effect around the edges of the dragonflies, and I've got a few of those pictures as well, which I'll put on this video. And I also just want to say that I'm not going to go into the technical side of macro and close-up photography. I wanted to talk a bit more about the biology of dragonflies and just being out and enjoying close-up dragonfly, damselfly photography. That's what this vlog's all about. But if you do want to know a bit more about the equipment you need, camera settings, and you know, the technical side of macro or close-up photography, I've got a couple of videos on my channel, and at the end of this video I'll put some links up so you can have a look at those if you want to. So yeah, bye for now guys, and I'll speak to you soon. One of the great things about photographing dragonflies, and to a lesser extent damselflies, is the fact that they'll come back to a perch. So I've got like this, I don't know if you can see it, but over there there's a stick coming out of the water, and what I've got is a dragonfly flying around the lake. So he's very territorial. Some dragonflies are really territorial, whereas damselflies not so much. So it'll be patrolling the lake or the pond, and then come back to a perching spot, have a little rest, and then fly off and then come back to the same spot again. So it's a really good way to photograph dragonflies. So they're a bit more predictable. They're certainly more predictable than a lot of other insects like butterflies. You never know where they're going to land, but once you find a perch for some dragonflies, they'll come back to that time again. So this is a good spot. And so what I do is I find the perch, wait and watch, see if a dragonfly is going to use it. And I've got dragonflies using this one, and then I can pre-focus on that perch and just wait for the dragonfly to land, and then I can get some great pictures. So it's a really good way to photograph some species of dragonflies. Not all of them, but some of them. And sometimes you get a situation where you've got dragonflies that are not so territorial, and you get 2 or 3 on the same perch. Certainly with damselflies that will happen. So it's a good way to get ahead of the game and get basically be able to pre-focus and sort the composition out and not have to quickly react. So yeah, it's great. Now I haven't been shooting quite so many YouTube videos over the last few weeks for a number of reasons actually. Firstly, I'm much more busier with my photography business, running photography courses now that the lockdown has finished and there's no restrictions. Secondly, I've been doing a kitchen makeover, and I don't know if you can see I've got some paint on my hands, so that's been taking a bit of time up. And then last but not least, my oldest daughter and her fiance have just moved into their first house, which is absolutely brilliant. So pleased for them, and we've been helping them out in the garden, and we're going to help them with some painting and stuff. So my time is limited, so it's so great just to be out and taking these these sort of dragonflies and damselflies. I'm having a cracking morning. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you have enjoyed it, if you can consider subscribing to my channel, that would be fantastic. And if you do like the video, if you can give it a thumbs up, that would be also brilliant. And if you can share it, that would be great. And last but not least, if you've got any of your own experiences about, you know, insect photography, dragonflies, damselflies, butterflies, just pop them in the comments below. That would be great to hear what you're all doing. So yeah, thanks very much for watching and listening, guys, and I'll speak to you on my next video. Bye for now.